Hi guys, my name is Sebas or Sebastian, and I am from Queens, New York, and I am 20 years old. And I want to preface by I do not hate Cornell. I actually really love this school, and I am wearing a Cornell shirt right now. And I also wanted to preface by me using the Ivy League in the title. I'm just trying to reach a larger audience because the sentiment that most of the pre-meds at Cornell feel is pretty universal with the other Ivy Leagues and the other top 20 or prestigious universities, and I understand that a lot of people hate it when Cornell students use the word Ivy League because it's like, oh, if you go to Harvard, you just say Harvard, but that's the reality. I want to start with some stats. About 13.4% of students are first generation. I know I've seen some different stats. I think it did go up in the last few years, but it's even smaller than 13.4% because I am first generation. I go to college, but I'm also first generation American. Um, so we're a very small community, and I'm from Queens, New York, which is the most diverse county, not just in the States, but in the world. And I went to a pretty competitive high school. I didn't go to a fancy private school or even the specialized high schools in the city or in the Bronx, like Bronx Science or Brooklyn Tech. But there was just that sentiment where we're all gonna leave Queens and go to good schools, and that happened. A lot of students got into Penn, Princeton. We had Stanford and U Chicago, Johns Hopkins, and we were all first generation. We were all uh, born in the U.S. with the parents that were immigrated here, so it was like a facade. Like it felt like it was. I felt really comforted. I knew that there's a lot of people from my community that were first generation as well, and we're coming from low income backgrounds as well. So then I go to Cornell, and I quickly realize that that's not the case. There's a lot of pre-meds, but the majority of pre-meds are not coming from first generation households. And on top of that, there's a lot of students that are pre-med who have parents that are physicians. I mean, it's crazy. Um, and being pre-med is hard anywhere, and that's pretty universal, but I feel there's a lot of imposter syndrome when you're going to school with geniuses. I mean, kids that know the system like the back of their hands, and they know it so well. And I've heard some crazy stories. Um, like one of my friends, I hope I'm not putting them on blast, but like one of my friends, one of their parents is a physician, and I guess my friend wanted a doctor's note, but not really a doctor's note, just kind of just like an extension. I don't even know. And their parent like asked one of their colleagues at their cancer center um, to write a quick letter, and it was from the cancer center. So like the professor ended up reading the note, and they thought that the student had cancer or was battling something. So it was insane. And they, I guess, had a really chill semester after that, right? Like, I wish I had that, right? Um, Another funny story, because I live in the city and it was during the summer, Columbia and Cornell had a networking event they brought back physicians from, I'd graduated from those two schools, and I ended up meeting this insane orthopedic surgeon. She's a woman, so she talked to me about her life as a surgeon, as a mom, and facing the challenges of raising kids during that entire point of her life, and that was just insane. And I didn't think anything of it, and like I shit you not, probably like a year later, I ended up like opening up Instagram, and I see that like a happy birthday mom post, and it was like a girl that I know from class. Like that was her mom, and that was insane because that girl was actually pre-med for the longest time, and then ended up changing her majors. So you end up like, you're like, wow, like people really do have surgeon parents. Like in where I'm from, like there that doesn't exist. Um, Another friend of mine ended up, she knew that I was pre-med, so she kind of just assumed that my parents were physicians because I guess that was more probable that my parents were physicians than me being first generation. Like there's such a small community that I guess that was more probable. Um, and then a lot of my friends have parents that are in the field and are really well connected, and they help their kids out a lot. So when you're dealing with these really tough classes and a tough workload, and you're already dealing with, am I gonna ever make it to medical school? And then you have these kids that their parents are helping them out and know the system so well. Like my mom, I have a single mom, and she doesn't even know what the MCAT is. I had explained it to her a million times, and she's dealing with her own stuff. Like she doesn't understand the system. So having to explain to her like something so simple as what the MCAT is, and my family, they're from Peru, so they kind of all just assume that I'm already in medical school, because in Peru you go straight into medical school at 18. When you graduate high school, you go straight to medical school and don't have to go through this insanely long process. And I'm like, no, like, so everyone's like, oh my god, Seos is going to medical school, he's already in medical school, he's going to be this crazy X, Y, and Z doctor, or I don't know. And so just kind of like dealing with the cultural aspect of it. And I understand that a lot of this sounds so trivial, because I'm working in a research lab this summer and at Queens College, one of the city schools in New York, and it's completely different. It's in the city, but it's not like a Columbia, it's not like an NYU. It's just like a lot of commuter students, people from nearby areas, and they all, every time I tell them like, yeah, I go to Cornell, they all think I have an extreme advantage, which is true. Like, although I am all this, I have a crazy advantage. So you have kids that are super well connected and whose parents are willing to pay for their MCAT tutoring and all these crazy prep and tutors throughout that, tutors for orgo and all these classes. And then you have kids that are also working through school. Like, I'm really thankful that I don't have to work through school, because I have scholarship. And so it's just like, you could see the disparities in between just access, not necessarily maybe admissions, maybe who knows, right? And I wanted to say, like, I don't resent them at all. Like, these are my good friends. I feel like if I'm a physician and I have my own kids, like, I would want to give them all the resources that I could give them. But it really makes you doubt that, am I ever going to be a physician? I'm getting these poor grades back, and you're already struggling a lot through classes, and um, you're seeing like all the free stuff and the volunteering you have to do, and it's like, is it financially viable? Like, am I gonna be able to do it? And now with the Trump administration reducing the amount of loans you could take out, like, am I, not only am I gonna get accepted to medical school, am I gonna be able to afford it? Because if I can't take out the loans, I'm not gonna be able to even pay for it. So it's insane, and it really makes me think, it makes me reconsider my life goals. Am I gonna just not be pre-med anymore? What am I gonna do with a biology degree? Am I going into research? And then I tried out research this summer, and I'm like, is it really for me either? I don't know. It's a lot, right? And like, being pre-med is difficult everywhere and anywhere, so I guess keep pushing. but But yeah, guys, if you guys want to see other videos about Cornell, how's it like there, how's Ithaca like, I could really show that. And I just really want to reach a larger audience, and hear everyone else's stories and perspectives on it. I hope I'm not sounding like I'm complaining, because at the end of the day, um, being pre-med is hard anywhere, and it's supposed to be a tough process. You're trying to weed out everyone that wants to be a physician, but when you're dealing with academics and the financial aspects of it and the preparation, it all becomes really hard, and there's really high barriers to entry to medicine, and I wish it wasn't like that. I guess that's why it's so lucrative, because so little people could actually become physicians. But yeah, if you go to UCLA or Duke or any other schools, would love to hear you guys' perspective. Yeah, thank you. Bye.